at least for me, this is totally inspired by Bill Simmons. So Bill Simmons, Boston sports guy, he is the equivalent of us, but for sports. He's got a book called The Book of Basketball, and he has a lot of these kind of what if scenarios. So like, what if this team didn't draft this person? What if this trade never happened? And I always love that stuff. So as an equivalent music nerd, I geek out about this same stuff. So both of us, or all three of us, came up with a few of these, and we didn't tell each other. There's one of them we did tell each other that we're going to do, but all these that each of us are going to tell, the other two have no idea what's coming. So this is totally going to be freestyle. So you guys want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this one here, I'm going to give the what if sentence, and then I'll kind of qualify it, and I'll give some facts, and then we'll open it up. So the punchline is, you guys ready for this? What if Dr. Dre's mother never met Warren G's father?
All right.
So if you didn't know, Dr. Dre and Warren G are stepbrothers. And a lot of people don't know that. So Dre's mom married Warren G's father. So, okay, where are you going with this, Anthony? Well, the big kicker here is Warren G introduced Dre to Snoop. So without that marriage, without that stepbrother, who knows if Dre and Snoop would have ever met? All right.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. Well, then what? Well, if they never met, the Chronic would sound much different because Snoop's all over that album. And then conversely, Doggy Style, Dre produced that. His fingerprints are all over that, whether it's features or production. And then the list goes on and on and on. Death Row Records 100% does not become what it was because Doggy Style was on Death Row, The Chronic, The Dog Pound's Dog Food, Tupac's All Eyes on Me. And all those records put West Coast rap on the map. I mean, it existed before that because you had like Too Short. Too Short was like, you know, the Pimp Daddy rapper from the West Coast, but he didn't put them on the West Coast on the map like that. So I'm going to pause there. I have a bunch of more stuff, but what do you guys think of that?
Wow.
That's
deep.
Yeah, no, so you're telling me that if Warren is Dre's mom,
Dre's mom
doesn't meet Warren G's dad, Biggie might still be alive. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly where I'm going with this.
Damn it, that's what I was thinking too. Biggie might still be alive, and
Tupac might
still be
Pac
alive.
might still be alive. Because
maybe they just put their double album out together. Who knows, man? Like,
I mean, think about the Source Awards, the whole West Coast East Coast battle. Like that whole Suge Knight speech, that whole thing does not happen without West Coast rap. And then it gets back to what was the genesis of this, and then the genesis of all of it is those two parents meeting.
That's great. That's awesome. I didn't think of it that way. I definitely had Biggie and Pac had kind of come up in my head as one of the things to talk about, but I definitely didn't, break it down to a couple of stepbrothers. That's awesome.
Wow, that's insane.
So
I remember that the Source Awards, like if the cameras were not rolling, I'm sure that would have been a shootout. Like it was almost like the cameras saved it.
I think you're right. Like it was heated. The audience was loud. And who knows? There could have been shenanigans after, before, that we don't even know about.
It was bad. You could tell, just watching videos of it now today, you could just feel the tension in the air when Suge comes out, when those guys just are. It was in New York, right?
I can't remember.
I think it was at Madison Square.
Yeah, so it took place in one area where the other side was very upset and like, we're here now. Like, listen to us. Like, screw this East Coast stuff. The West Coast is here now, and it just could have gotten it got out of hand. It could have gotten way more out of hand that night had the cameras not been rolling.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because I did a little prep for this. So one thing I was reading that for the years that Death Row was on top, they were making $100 million a year. I mean, just massive, massive money. And of course, we all know the Suge Knight story. He basically blew it all and got into legal trouble and all that. But the other kind of direction my head went in all this is all of that leading up to, like, when Dre puts out Chronic 2001, he was on top of the world. And then my head goes, he had this huge brand name. Without that brand name, he probably wouldn't have discovered Eminem. And then I get to, well, if he didn't discover Eminem, who discovered him? And then, like, who would have made Eminem's beats? Like, does he still pop?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then with no Eminem, it just keeps going. With no Eminem, does 50 Cent get discovered? What happens with G Unit?
D12,
Yeah.
G Unit, Lloyd Banks.
Yeah.
The Game.
Yeah.
Like,
Obi Trice.
yeah. Yep.
And Eminem legitimized white rappers, because up until then, you had Vanilla Ice was the biggest white rapper up to that point, and he was not taken seriously. He's a joke in the industry. And even now, there are some white rappers with, like, Machine Gun Kelly and whatnot, but the list goes on and on. But it's a cool what if, because, like, if they never met, would Dre have ever met Snoop without the Warren G kind of handoff?
And even just the Dre and Snoop thing, like, we don't get Nothing But a G thing. We don't get Still Dre. We don't, you know what I mean? Like, there's some just classic Dre and Snoop songs together, let alone all of Doggy Style and whatever else, Dog Pound, stuff like that. That just blows you away to think, like, what if we didn't have some of those songs? Like, Nothing But a G thing is absolutely iconic.
Yeah.
To not have that song be a thing because they never met, that would be weird.
Wow. Yeah, that defines so much history, like, just those two, or just Dre alone. But it kind of shows how authentic it was back then. Not that it's not authentic now, but I mean, like, it's just like, it's even down to, like, the Source Awards, like, it was so gangster that people were literally getting, like, shot. Like, it's not just the songs, like, that stuff was, like, that was real life. Like, now it's like, now it is all talk. Like, it's not talk because gang still exists, but, like, people, like, what was it, P Diddy and J-Lo getting like shot at, like, when on the way to the MTV Awards or whatever. Like, it's like, I remember seeing that like on MTV and being like, wow, it is gangster rap, because it's all real. Now it's like, I don't know, it's
that
different now.
It kind of blows my mind. I mean, when Tupac was shot and Biggie was shot, we were like 11 years old.
Yep.
And I was big into music. My mom had bought me All Eyes on Me because, again, I had cool parents. And I was like, what? Why is this a thing? Like, why are we killing each other over music? I feel like this is kind of stupid. But it really was, they were living a lifestyle. They're portraying a lifestyle in the music that they were actually living in real life. So that today, I think you get a lot more people portraying a lifestyle that maybe they're not necessarily living, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, where they're actors playing a part sometimes. But as far as the way, gangster rap was in the early to mid 90s, it was legitimate. They were rapping and they were living that lifestyle. And that's why, tragically, we lost a handful of rappers that were, iconic.
Yeah. And Twan, you didn't even go into NWA, spawning off that as well with Dre and all those guys. Like, just kind of goes on and on. Eazy-E, obviously he died as well.
Well, that's the thing is I looked at I did a big Dr. Dre deep dive, but I looked at all of his production credits, and it's really extensive, because even if he didn't produce a whole album, he produced specific tracks on some iconic records. But yeah, NWA, Eazy-E, the DOC, those date back, early 90s, late 80s. But obviously, we all know his more recent hits. But yeah, the list goes on and on.
Just so much. And just even thinking about losing Eminem and what that would have meant. Even if somebody had found Eminem, like you said, would he have popped with different beats from a different producer? Like, maybe not.
I mean, he was a battle rapper. I mean, he was.
Yeah.